I believe I'll just say this flat out. We lost every game. We lost every game. But it wasn't the score that mattered, because we played very hard and we had the potential to win. But we just lost. We came out with the right swagger. We came out with the right, oh my God. We had everything, but we just couldn't pull it off. If I could go back in time, I'd tell myself to actually pay attention and actually win all those games. Yeah. I like to thank all the parents that drove us to the games. I'd like to thank our coaches, Coach 2, thank you. I'd like to thank Coach Mullen for coaching us at one practice.
That's how it's done.
I mean, we have the potential.
You know what we do in the back?
Come on, Gordy. You pay attention.
Hi, my name is Gordy Webb, and I was the captain of the 8th grade A team.
Yeah.
9 individuals, 8 games, 224 minutes, 1 goal, another championship. This is what described the 8th grade A team's attitude at the beginning of this year. We entered our first practice excited and determined. This energy carried us through the first 6 games, but sadly, we lost that intensity in our last regular season game and first playoff game. Originally, I was disappointed when we lost, but I soon realized that these 2 defeats had brought us closer as teammates, friends, and as a family. I would like to give a special thanks to Coach Taylor and Coach Mullen, and great for the kids up here. Thank you guys.
I see him on ESPN.
Both of you guys.
With your book, your brothers.
I don't know. Weird.
At least mine tried again.
What we started last year was something new. And last year we started recognizing, generally the awards recognize 7th and 8th graders. Last year we decided we need to start increasing the pool and start recognizing 5th and 6th graders. And what we did is we had an award in honor of Matt Foley last year, who was a distinguished athlete here at Cathedral, moved on to Lincoln Wilberding, and now is in college. And now we're going to give a tradition that every year a high school senior is going to come back and talk who demonstrated leadership again in middle school and high school. And this year, the representative of the class of 2007 is currently St. Ignatius student body president. When he was at Cathedral, he was a great athlete, continued on to play football at SI. And tonight's speaker for the Leadership Award is Jackson Windauer.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that. All right. Preparing to speak to you all, I reflected back on my own experiences and the role athletics have played in my life. Just 4 years ago, I could have been any one of you, a soon-to-be Cathedral graduate and member of the class of 2007. Many of us probably have a lot in common. I grew up a sports fanatic, watching games, idolizing my favorite athletes, and playing here at Cathedral as all of you do. Athletics was one of the best parts of my Cathedral experience. I came to CSB in the middle of 5th grade, the new kid and somewhat awkward, and the amazing athletic program that Coach Mullen and all the other coaches here have built is what allowed me to make friends and get adjusted. Sports in general were my way of having fun and spending time with my buddies. I played football outside of school, I played basketball at school, competing in the ISAL. I was supported by my parents, received great coaching, and always had fun. And like all of you will, I left prepared to make the transition in time. During that transition summer between 8th grade and freshman year, I went to host a football games, where I met many of my future teammates and coaches, and developed a true passion for the game. Then, my freshman year at St. Ignatius, the school I'm currently a senior at, I made a big decision. Influenced a lot by my coaches, I decided not to try out for basketball and devote all of my energy to football. I immediately felt the impact of the decision I made. Blessed with terrific coaching and surrounded by talented teammates, I had the opportunity to start in freshman and JV teams, lead those teams in touchdowns, and serve as captain. I was ecstatic. The success I experienced helped my confidence, my social affirmation to a big high school, and molded much of my identity. Afterwards, when the season was over, I once again hit the camp circuit, had good showings, even started communicating with college coaches. I started focusing on the recruiting process, desiring to play football at the next level in college. Soon after this, though, I was confronted with adversity. A football player's worst fear, I blew out my knee, completely tearing my ACL and meniscus. It required reconstructive surgery, extensive rehabilitation, and prevented me from playing my junior year. It was a devastating blow, as I had such high expectations for the season. It took a serious toll on my self-esteem, and I realized how much of my identity had been attached to performing on the field. This was a key lesson for me. I began to realize how unhealthy that all was. That having your identity so wrapped up in on the field or on the court performance is not what sports are all about. Slowly, this realization and others became clear. There's an Arthur Golden quote that says, "Adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away from us all but the things that cannot be torn, so that we see ourselves as we really are." This was true for me. My injury tore many things away from me. Some suggested I quit, and I was down in the dumps. But that season I was forced to sit out was one in which I was able to extract many valuable lessons from my experience. Football-wise, I learned that I could lead without being on the field, as many of you probably know. I helped my teammates study film, learn opponents' tendencies, and provided feedback to my friends. I also learned to examine other perspectives. I realized what it was like for players who practiced every day but never got to play. This enabled me to transform my misfortune into an opportunity to grow as a player and as a person. It was a valuable personal development opportunity, and it changed how I related to the game and to myself. Off the field, even more occurred. Being injured led me to take chances in other facets of my life and school community, ones I would not have even considered before. I ran for student government, and based on the experience I had as president of my 8th grade class here at the field, student council had always been an interest on the back burner. But I went for it, and for more. I started social justice clubs, I got involved in SI's campus ministry, I did everything I could. I branched out and allowed myself to explore interests outside of athletics. It took a shift in perception, but I slowly started to see my injury as a possible gift in disguise. As my junior year ended, I clearly proved myself as a leader to my coaches and teammates. But given the severity of my injury, most people had low expectations for my performance entering my senior year. I decided to prove them wrong. I had yet another surgery on my knee, but rehab with a newfound vengeance and effort. I outworked players as best I could in the weight room and on the field, and learned another valuable lesson. Hard work pays off, I promise. I was elected team captain and excelled on the field once again, earning the starting role of my position. Happy as could be. My senior year was the best in my career. I have a new perspective on what it means to compete. Being a good player is not about scoring touchdowns, or baskets, or goals. And being a good person is not about accolades or awards, however important those are, especially when the ones we recognize tonight. But striving to do one's best and finding a way to contribute, whatever form that might take, are far more important. The fact that I was able to make a difference on the field as well as off in my senior year just made the season that much sweeter. Furthermore, and most importantly, I learned to handle change in my life. Something you will all realize as you move on to high school is that there are many changes that you will need to adapt to. Maybe you're going to a large high school. Maybe it's in making friends. Maybe it's your family, or even just adjusting to a heavier homework load, which you all love. It's inevitable and something we all experience, change. For me, the role athletics play in my life has changed. Before, I had my mindset on playing college football. My successes and failures on the field were my only priority. Now, though, things have changed. While I will not be continuing my football career next year, I realized that I took much, much more from athletics. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about the lessons learned. Hard work, patience, teamwork, dedication. It's about the doors athletics can open for you. For me, through my injury, I explored options that led to my eventual opportunity to lead as student body president of SI, and to take a more active role in my faith community. Without sports, none of that would have happened. For you, the possibilities are endless. But most of all, it's about relationships, and sports are about relationships. With your teammates, your parents, your coaches. I don't remember my 8th grade basketball team's record, though I do remember that we won the faculty basketball game. I don't remember wins or losses, but I do remember and retain relationships and feelings. If I hadn't retained a relationship with Coach Mullen, I wouldn't be here tonight. Athletics taught me to work hard for what you want. It taught me to examine other perspectives and relate with the people around you. It taught me to identify with who you are as a person and not the athlete on the field. Most of all, it showed me that the relationships you form are so much more important than anything on the scoreboard. And I'm really impressed that that feeling ran through everything that all of you guys said when you stood up today. Adversity is a great teacher, and unfortunately, I learned from it the hard way. It took an injury for me to step back and have perspective. But in knowing Cathedral kids, and tonight seeing your openness and intelligence, it is my hope that it doesn't take an injury for any of you. But that if anything, you can listen to your parents and your coaches when they say over and over again, soak it up. Enjoy the time you have getting to do one of the most fun things in the world, playing sports. We are all unique, and I can only speak to my experience. So use the lessons sports teach you to realize your potential, to come to understand what you want and who you are. I look around the gym, and I see a room full of talented and ambitious young men of character. That is something Cathedral does a tremendous job of. I have no doubt of your future successes, and I'm humbled that I was able to speak to you tonight. I wish you luck in all that you do. Thank you. Last year to give recognition to the 5th and 6th grade student athletes who demonstrate remarkable leadership and sportsmanship during the athletic season. This year's award goes to a 6th grader, Alessandra Vidal.
Keyshawn J. He was the award winner that year. Currently, we're going to Northeastern. So he just graduated with Wolverine. He'll be attending Northeastern next year. And I'll just give a little story about Keyshawn. He was one of those 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade boys that did not really like athletics. And I used to get on him about, come on, Keyshawn, push yourself. And he was part of that class with Jackson that had a lot of competitive boys. And it took him a while to get that competitiveness going. But where he was in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade scoring, that was remarkable. He was first team basketball city for basketball for the BCL. I coached against him this year. He's hitting threes in our team's face. It was amazing to see the progress this young man has made. He has a young brother that he inspires every single day. And I'm just so proud to see where he's at, where he's going. And again, this is what Cathedral Athletics is all about the journey of the boy. Not about the outcomes or the games won or lost, but it's about where they go when they leave here at Cathedral. And he's done an amazing amount with Wolverine. I know he's going to continue to do more at Northeastern. But if we could just give a round of applause for both staff.
This year I'm honored to present the Olympian Award. This year, the award goes to that 8th grade boy who has demonstrated excellence in 2 or more sports during the 2010-2011 season. This student athlete also maintains discipline to be a leader on the court and in the classroom. I'm proud to say that this winner is going to be going to Lake Wolverine. The award goes to Gordon.
It's just the following year. Or we're guys, we're the raffle box for this.